Love it.
So, Cristina, thank you for joining Jorie AI at our podcast. We appreciate it. So, tell us a little bit about you personally. What's good to know about Cristina, and then how did you get into compliance and what you're doing now?
Yeah. So I'm Cristina. I'm the head of sales engineering and compliance solutions at Thoropass. I'm a former auditor, actually, which is what got me into the space.
Nice.
So I actually sat on the evaluation team on the other side of the coin before joining Thoropass, more as like a consultant or, supporting the implementation of, companies that are building security and compliance programs.
Right.
I joke that I kind of fell into security and compliance backwards. I went to school for math and philosophy, and there was something that I really liked about security and compliance that felt very, it could be as black and white as you wanted it to be, or super gray as well.
Yeah.
So you had to be comfortable living a little bit in the middle and being able to adapt based on the scenarios.
And that confuses some people,
it
right?
Does, yes.
I enjoy that too.
Me too.
But some people, it's like, okay, I can't do that. I'm out.
Yes, exactly. So I feel like I started to really get comfortable. I really like the creative side of being able to support and help people and really understand companies' businesses and their goals, I think is really great.
Sure.
Thoropass helps customers that are a single founder building this from the ground up. So we see that a lot, especially in the healthcare industry, these ambitious founders, all the way up to enterprise grade companies that have very mature, established programs, and they've got a schedule, they know what they're doing. And, there's different sets of challenges, but everybody needs a little bit of support.
Sure. So for us, tell us how you engage a client and how the whole process works for what you do.
Yeah. So there's a component of this that's, obviously the readiness and implementation or the maintenance program for companies that are going through audit cycles. So SOC 1, SOC 2, HITRUST, all of that. And then there's also, of course, the other side of that, which is the actual audit itself.
Sure.
So depending on the engagement, we do both sides of the coin. We are both the CPA firm, the HITRUST assessors, actually going through this to support that process.
Right.
So we're engaging with clients a little bit of a different way, both, on both sides of the coin.
I like it.
And it's really fun because you get to kind of context switch to see who needs what. And a lot of times people will start with one program. If they start with SOC 2 and they're moving into healthcare, they want to move into HITRUST. We move them, we work on their existing program with SOC 2 and help them kind of bridge the gap to what's it look like for us then to proceed with HITRUST as well.
Right. So for us, we went into, I got into healthcare backwards, kind of like you got into security and compliance. I was security and compliance first, got into healthcare, and everybody asked me, well, how did you get there? I was like, it just makes common sense to go from security into healthcare. Everybody's like, it doesn't make sense. But so anyway, we started our HITRUST early on, and, we had mixed thoughts about it because we were probably a little bit early stage to do it. But I look back now and think, oh my God, I'm glad we did it when we did it. So is that what you would recommend to clients? Do it before you think you're really ready?
Absolutely. I mean, it's table stakes now. I think the worst position a company could be in, and when it comes to security and compliance, is being reactive rather than being proactive.
Right.
So really thinking about implementing programs that can scale with you depending on, your growth and your goals.
Right.
I think it's never too early in a lot of cases. There is alternatively a appropriate stage for some of this. I think it's really important. A lot of times when we work with companies, we're talking about what their 5-year plan looks like for compliance and security. And that doesn't mean you need to or should be trying to deploy all of these programs and these audits immediately.
At the same time, immediately.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, it is something that can become very burdensome for teams if they're not prepared for it, if there's a lot of remediation and implementation that's necessary. So, putting in place, and it's something that we spend a lot of time with our customers, is actually putting in place a plan that makes sense, is scalable, and then will be also repeatable so that you can actually make, compliance and audit become something that shouldn't just be a once a year activity. It should be growing with you and, an ongoing part of the fiber of a company at the end of the day.
Well, I tell people, I say, if you continually do it, it's not nearly as difficult as if you try to do it one time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do it throughout the process.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit? I know there's new phases of HITRUST, right? Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about that and how companies could look and think about those different stages now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of it depends on your client base and your customer needs and things like that. So it ends up being a very, very much driven by third-party risk and all of, those contracts.
Yeah.
So there's varying stages of it. There's an E1, I1, R2 assessments.
Yeah.
And we work with customers really to identify what stage makes the most sense for them.
Sure.
Ultimately, really understanding, are you looking to, audit one specific program or product or application? Are you looking for the entire organization? Who are your clients? What are they asking for? And then we actually kind of work through those controls with them. So E1 and I1, those are preset set of controls.
Yeah.
And then the R2 becomes a lot more customized based on, things like your number of records and, user faces and a whole bunch of other, requirements. But it gives you a really good opportunity to kind of, if you're at an E1 and you have lofty goals of selling into some of the major insurance industries or, the payment plans or whatever it may be, that you create a step program, that you maybe start with a lower level, an E1, and you start planning for what an R2 will ultimately look like for you. And again, we understand that's a larger implementation process. It shouldn't and doesn't need to occur overnight.
Right.
It's about putting in place how are we actually going to close those gaps and what else is relevant for you too. So if you're working very specifically in Texas, for example, then we want to talk a little bit more about the, Texas state requirements for privacy and text ramp and things like that. Identifying HIPAA at the end of the day is if breach notification is relevant, which it is.
Very relevant.
For pretty much this entire conference.
For everybody in this conference.
Exactly. So making sure that you actually kind of build that into the program and get the 2-for-1 special, if you will, with HITRUST.
Yeah. So, we, when we started HITRUST, like I said, we were a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
I'd say a lot ahead, but
love it.
The funny thing is 2 months after we got our HITRUST, we had 2 contract opportunities that they said, had you not been HITRUST, we wouldn't even have considered you.
Completely.
So is that a common thing that probably clients may see going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, I think HITRUST has now become table stakes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the industry that we totally understand and know very, very clearly that they won't even consider you. You won't even make it through their due diligence process unless you have it. It's also it's the gold standard of, certification bodies and going, assessments.
Yeah.
So you having an R2 or maintaining any type of HITRUST program really not only makes it seem, you're taking it very seriously, but at the end of the day, it also sets you completely light years away from anybody else who isn't doing it.
Right. Yep.
So, and I think that's important to think about too, is that why are you doing this in the first place?
Right.
And how is it going to further your, I think a lot of people see it as a operational requirement, compliance and security. The entire organization should care about compliance and security.
Exactly.
I know that's rich coming from a compliance professional and me sitting on this side of the coin.
Exactly.
But I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, everybody should care about this down to the salespeople, because you're going to close more deals. We're all going to make more money. We're all going to have, you want the largest organization and, to want to do business with you.
Right.
You don't want to have anything stopping you.
Yeah. And compliance anymore is not just something you put to the side. I mean, it's so much a part, once again, of everybody in this conference, right? It's so much a part of our fiber.
Yeah.
So you've got to be thinking about it constantly.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you the big kind of, for us, very important to us because we're AI.
Of course.
So what is on the landscape of HITRUST for AI going forward? I know it's like, if you look in your kind of crystal ball, what is it going to look like in 2 years, 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think already HITRUST has adapted to match the market and the need for AI. I think They already are performing and have instilled an additional AI assessment component to their overall programs and requirements, which can be an add-on to any of your HITRUST, programs that you're pursuing today.
Yep.
So it's a feature specifically or an assessment that is specific to AI. So they're already adopting in that way. And what I think is really great about that assessment versus an ISO 42001, which is more about the ISO, that's really more about AI governance and the safe practice and use of AI in principle, right? Like do's and don'ts and all of that good stuff, falling a little bit more in like the privacy GDPR landscape, where this is actually a lot more about the actual, like the HITRUST assessment for AI is focused a lot more on the actual like factual implementation. How is AI being used? What's the governing body and like what the actual, what it looks like in practice and how it's affecting any of the potential data that's in your systems, which is where we need to care about it.
It is. No,
the
it
governance is great, but in practice, what does it look like and how is it protected?
Well, and everybody asks us about our information and where's our information going? Where's our data going?
Yep.
And so that is one of the most critical things. And obviously HITRUST plays a big part in that.
Absolutely.
So I'm one of your biggest salespeople, and everybody we talk to, I say, go after it. It's going to be a little bit tough at the beginning, but once you get through it, you're going to be so happy you did it.
Absolutely. And I think there's so many different frameworks that you can pursue. And there's a little bit of the alphabet soup of like, are you going to do SOC 2? Are you going to do ISO? All of that. And I think HITRUST has so much value and has retained its value in the market.
It has.
As being like, a standard of rigor that is unmatched when it comes to the remainder of the other programs. So I think it's important, obviously, in the stage appropriateness to kind of consider the industry you're in and the state of your company and who your clients are. But there isn't really anybody that I wouldn't recommend HITRUST to. And I would say outside of even healthcare, this is any industry that is hyper regulated could benefit from HITRUST.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of like preaching the good word.
It is. Amen. Amen to that. Well, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast. Thank you for all the work you're doing.
Absolutely.
It's important for all of us. The more compliant we are as a general industry, the better off we're all going to be. So thank you for doing the hard work. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And excited to, continue to work with folks like you guys and continue to educate and implement and move it forward.
Awesome.
I love it.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.